When my daughters were in high school, there were a number of days my husband would come home from work and ask how our day was. And my reply was, they are still alive. Now, they were not in danger. I would not have hurt them. But that sentiment came from a TED Talk that I watched that acknowledged how hard our days sometimes are. In this episode, I want to take a look at some of the real challenges of raising neurodivergent teens and how you can persevere. I'll share this mindset with you that will help you have a slightly different perspective for those difficult days. Hey, I'm Crystal Wagner. I'm a late diagnosed autistic ADHD mom, and I'm a life and parenting coach, and I help you launch your neurodivergent teens into adulthood with confidence and grace. Jill Bolte Taylor had a TED Talk about the teenage brain development. I'll leave a link to that video so that you can watch that. It was fascinating, and the key takeaway for me was keep them alive till 25. She talked about how the prefrontal cortex is the last part of the brain to develop. That's also the logical thinking part of the brain. So if you look at your teen and you say, "What were you thinking?" and they answer you, "I don't know," they literally probably weren't thinking. They were having connections that were reforming and they were not firing well. Well, one of the challenges is that with our neurodivergent teens, their brains may not fully develop until they're closer to 30. So they have this long time that they are technically adults and they're not making good decisions. So this concept of keep them alive till 25 or 30 is a way of acknowledging that they're still developing and they're going to have times that they mess up and make mistakes. Now, this perspective, on one hand, can feel a little demoralizing because I don't know about you, but I was looking forward to them growing up, moving out on their own, doing their own thing. I would need to be involved a little less. As we talked about in episode 3, that doesn't happen immediately. They're more like baby adults and they need some time and some training to be able to live in the adult world. If you haven't listened to that episode, that is a great mindset shift to think about your young adults as baby adults because it gives you a little more compassion for them. But in the meantime, it seems like a long road. Keeping them alive till 25, or in our case, maybe even longer to 30, that seems like so long from now. I remember thinking something similar when my daughters were young. And I thought, will this day ever end? Yes, and it will go fast. I love what Gretchen Rubin says about how the days are long, but the years are short. It acknowledges that the days can be challenging, but they will go by quickly. But not all days are hard. I can look back and I can see the progress they've made. I can see the growth that they've had. But it does explain sometimes why I shake my head and think, what happened? They were doing so well. Well, they had some misfires and their brains were not working quite right. So what do we do during this time? How can we not get so frustrated and how can we better support our neurodivergent young adults? I think the first thing is to be patient, to recognize this, acknowledge that they are baby adults. They're learning new things. Their brains are still developing. And they're going to have good days and they're going to have days that they don't make the best choices. We can also develop a common language. I actually watched this TED Talk with my daughters because it was given to youth. So the language, the structure, everything was designed for teens to understand it. So when we watched this, we were able to have a common language that allowed us to acknowledge later when they made some poor choices, like, I don't think your prefrontal cortex was fully developed and you weren't thinking so well. It's also funny now to hear my daughters come back from events and they'll be talking about what some people in the group are doing and they'll make comments like, pretty sure their brains aren't fully developed. They know that this is a part of the process. It's not an excuse to avoid responsibility or to excuse their behavior, but it is an explanation of what's happening. We can provide training opportunities. We might talk with them about where are you struggling? What feels really hard right now? And what could we do to help it feel a little bit easier? Sometimes they may not want the help, and that's okay. We have to accept when they do and when they don't. But if we're offering it, they know that we're here and we're available, and that we recognize that sometimes they may need a little extra support. You know your child best. So use that as your guide when you're offering support, when you're offering suggestions to think about how you could help them. And we've talked about this before on other episodes, but have a support network in place for yourself. It has been invaluable for me to be able to text a friend and say, oh my goodness, today was hard. And to be able to say, I'm keeping them alive till 25. Like, I could literally text that one phrase to several friends and they would know exactly what it meant. They would know that it was a hard day and that I just needed someone to encourage me. They would be there for me to talk with them, for me to know that this is a part of the process. It's okay to be frustrated. But I also had a safe space that I could process through. What do you think I should do here? Have you guys experienced this? What's worked for you? So I'm not out there on my own. So how could you create your own support network to help you through these challenging days? I hope you're taking away from this that if you're in this difficult season of your teens moving into adulthood, that it's a normal part of the process. You will get through this, and you can find ways to support your teens and to support yourselves through it. If you need someone to walk with you through this season, I would be more than happy to support you. You can join my email list. You can join one of my workshops or enroll in coaching to have a safe space to talk about the challenges, to talk about ways that you can support your teens, to learn how to listen to them so that they want to come talk to you about their problems. Whatever you do, I hope that you will find some ways to support yourself as you keep them alive till 25. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.